In the last video, we went over some of the failed Stepford Metro projects. Today, we will be going over two of the most successful Metro projects, those being the Stepford City Core Tunnel and the Barton Loop Tunnel. As mentioned in the last video, Stepford had a metro in the late 1920s. However, it was shut down during the Great Depression. Stepford went on without a metro until the 1990s. It relied primarily on the more frequent Stepford local service by Connect. In 1994, as Stepford was continually growing, it was concluded that service frequencies needed to increase. Signalling upgrades to Connect were proposed, however ultimately, in late September of 1994, it was decided to make an entirely new core tunnel, and to bring back the Stepford Metro as an operator. It was decided to use Class 3-1 electric trains on the operator, with red doors and a white livery, similar to the red door Greater Anglia livery. Some of the trains were freshly bought, but a decent portion were taken from Stepford Connect and simply refurbished and repainted. By summer of 1995, planning was already almost finished on the core tunnel. It would go down under the Stepford River at City Hospital, have brand new underground platforms at Stepford Central and Stepford East, and a new station at Four Ways. High Street would also be included later on, however it was already known and decided that it would open after Metro, so they just left some empty room for the platforms over there in the plans. The tunnel would be mostly double-tracked, with 2 platforms at Four Ways and 4 platforms at Stepford Central and Stepford East. The tunnels wouldn't be easy to construct, so work had to begin as soon as possible. Preparation works actually began in spring 1995, right after St Helens Bridge. Airlink, Connect and Express tracks were being rerouted, with disruption mostly on the weekends, to make room for the entrance into the Metro Core Tunnel at the Spaghetti Junction we all know and love today. Multiple Stepford Connect services were terminating early at St Helens Bridge, and Airlink and Express services were either skipping the station or even terminating there in some cases. On the opposite side at City Hospital, things were still quiet. In February of 1996, the track reroutes and signalling changes at St Helens Bridge were done, and work began on digging the tunnel. Rather than using TBMs, Transport for Stepford decided that the core Metro tunnel should be dug out by hand, for some reason. Obviously, they still had drills and modern equipment, and it was far from the 1900s pickaxe tunnel digging, but the process would still take significantly longer. Site preparations began simultaneously, both at St Helens Bridge and at City Hospital, with minor disruptions at City Hospital for the first few weeks, due to the need to make room for the new metro tracks. Tunnel construction was fully underway by April. Not much happened during this time, aside from just regular tunnel digging. The majority of the excavation work was finished by August of 2000. A big switch to the left and a small hole were left where the High Street UFC platforms now are, and work began on all of the underground platforms. Hundreds of workers worked on the underground platforms at Stepford Central, Four Ways and Stepford East over the next couple of years, bringing an already stunning architectural vision to life. In April of 2003, Metro would officially begin services. That's right, Metro began services before the core was even completed, taking over 3 Connect routes, from Stepford Victoria, Stepford Central and St Helens Bridge to Port Benton. During this time, the finishing touches were being put on the core tunnel. However, another project was also in the planning phase, the Barton Loop. The area near Coxley had exploded in population, and Coxley Station wouldn't be enough in a few years. The loop would diverge from the main line, featuring new stations at Coxley, Newtown and Barton. The tunnel would go on to emerge just before Ellesmere Junction, forming a new loop connecting the Coxley main line and the Ellesmere main line. The core was finally completed in February of 2005, and was opened to trains in March of 2005. A new skylight siding was opened right before Stepford East. Metro's Port Benton services moved underground for the first time and started stopping at four-ways. Work on High Street's underground area and the supervisor offices officially began in early 2006. No service disruptions were taking place yet, as a small access pass for workers was made so they could access the underground platforms. Preparatory works on the Barton line also finally began, resulting in 4 weekends of minor disruption across Ellesmere Junction and Coxley. This disruption was short-lived, as it ended the moment the railway was finally branched off. Full-scale tunnel digging and construction at Coxley Newtown and Barton also began in 2007. High Street's underground platforms and concourse also slowly began to take shape, with Express temporarily sharing tracks with Connect during the construction of the Express flyover. In 2008, High Street High Level was officially closed to allow more space for renovations, although Connect trains still ran through it for 2 months before that also had to end. Connect would now run a separate service between Whitefield Lido and Whitefield, with a replacement bus between Whitefield Lido and Stepford East. The Express flyover and supervisor offices were completed in August of 2008, right before work had to slow down due to yet another economic crisis. Works were restarted in late 2009. Stepford High Street will officially be opened for service in January of 2010, with all metro trains stopping there. The upper level platforms would remain closed, and brand new Do Not Alight signs were put up there. The new underground station features a beautiful concourse area, underground platforms with plenty of space and advertising, a new primary area of offices for Stepford's railway operations, and a relatively expansive bus terminal outside. Most of the buses from here operate to the northern area of Stepford, which was originally supposed to be covered by the railway and metro network. However, it was changed to be more covered by the bus network, which resulted in the need for a lot more bus lines, which is also why the High Street bus stop is so big. It's because a lot of the buses here go further north. Works at Barton were also restarted at a similar time, and the Barton Loop tunnel would be broken through in late 2011, although it still wasn't finished. They were able to begin work on Coxley Newtown and Barton's platforms a while before and in early 2011. The tunnel would officially be completed in autumn of 2013, with an airport-style design. The entire tunnel is slightly wider than usual to allow for walking on the side in the case of an emergency, and the entire tunnel is also lined with lights on both sides. A stub was left off right before joining the Morganstown line for a future line to Berrily, which is now being constructed. Platform construction at Coxley Newtown and Barton was finished in February of 2015, and on the 13th of March 2015, the line was opened with lines R132 and R135. Two special trains, 321403 and 321409, were painted in special liveries to commemorate the opening of this loop line, with a sort of loop design across the train. R133 was opened in August, R134 was opened in September, and finally R136 was opened in December of 2015. The best station on this line is definitely Coxley Newtown, and it just has a really nice feel, with the skylight and the sort of cream-coloured brick walls with the slightly darker flooring. It's just amazing. The final modification to the Barton Tunnel, which I will just briefly mention here, was the breakthrough of a new tunnel branch to the east towards Berrily. The lines R030, R130 and R131 were shifted to go via Barton instead of Ellesmere Junction, and obviously the brand new tramlink lines R142 and R144 were routed via Barton, making Barton both a bi-directional terminus and a through station. Due to the already existing stub, disruption during the construction of the new branch was very minimal, as workers simply inserted equipment during the night and had a working area in the stub during the day. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and big thanks to the channel members whose names you can see on screen. Like, subscribe, and join the Discord or be sent to Quebec. A face reveal is coming at 4K subs, and I'm gonna go violate the Geneva Convention now. Goodbye.